Hello, everyone. This is Sherry Greenhouse, Managing Partner of CRM Exchange, and I'd like to welcome you to our technology showcase where we are going to show you a way how to save with toll-free least cost routing, and we're also going to discuss how that better serves your customers. And this presentation is brought to you by thinQ. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. You'll see your name only and the presenters on the right-hand side. Below that, you will see Q&A, and we will have time for a Q&A at the end of this webcast. But if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in at any point during the presentation and during the demonstration, and yours will be one of the first questions that we go to. So we're first going to do a desktop share, and you're going to see a couple of slides, and we're going to kind of set up the demonstration that we're going to show you. At the very end, after everything, the presentation, the demonstration, the Q&A, a survey will pop up. Let us know what you thought of this information and of the technology showcase. Any comments you have, we always love to read that feedback. So now what I am going to do is introduce your presenter, who's going to start to share his desktop with us, and that's Michael Tindall, President of thinQ. For almost 20 years, Michael's been engineering disruptive communication technologies. After building one of the industry's first cloud-based least cost routing platforms, he co-founded thinQ in 2009. Their goal is to create innovative communication solutions that enable businesses to communicate more efficiently while reducing costs. And I think in his next slide you can actually see a picture of him, and he's president and CTO, and he oversees the development of the industry's first and only toll-free least cost routing, a technology that's reinventing how contact centers and enterprise companies manage toll-free calling. So I am now going to turn this event over to Mike.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank Sherry and the rest of the folks over at CRM Exchange for setting this up today. Today we're going to be giving you an overview of the concept and technology of toll-free LCR and how that enables contact centers to produce and give their customers a better customer experience. So here at thinQ, we're driven by a single philosophy, and that's there's a better way. If we can't improve your business communications or save you money, we're not going to waste your time. We're in an industry that's very antiquated in many regards, and our goal is to move the technology forward through intelligent cloud-based software solutions. The one I'm going to show you today is toll-free LCR. So first, a little bit about thinQ. We were founded in 2009 by myself and one of my colleagues from bandwidth.com, Aaron Leon, after we were surveying the market and we realized there was an opportunity to improve communication software using the power of the cloud. We're headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina, and have offices in Brazil, Argentina, China, the UK, and Romania. We specialize in cloud-based least cost routing technology. In fact, we built the industry's first and only cloud-based adaptive toll-free LCR platform, which we're going to be taking a look at here shortly. Aside from least cost routing, we offer a variety of third-party voice APIs that allow our technologies to integrate with other CPaaS platforms such as Twilio, Plivo, etc. We also have an SMS and MMS set of capabilities that allow customers to develop messaging applications around their platforms. And additionally, we have some data feed services that are provided via API, such as caller ID name, location routing number, and E911. So during our time here today, what I'm going to show you, I want to show you how toll-free least cost routing improves calling performance and can save you up to 50% on toll-free costs. You'll see a step-by-step demonstration of the platform showing how easy it is to manage the numbers and set up a toll-free routing profile. We'll look at how multiple carrier solutions allow you to mitigate disasters in the event of a carrier outage, which anybody who's run a contact center understands. If your customers can't call you, they're not happy and you're not having a good day. When we're finished, you'll have a chance to sign up for a free account or get a consultation from one of our product representatives. So before we dive in, we're going to take a quick look at the call center market as a whole. This will help us better understand where thinQ technology fits within the market and how it can improve your business operation before the phone even rings. So today, the U.S. call center market is roughly $22 billion and is growing exponentially. By 2020, the global call center market will reach around $407 billion, with the U.S. controlling roughly 44% of that market share. So it's a big market. Why is it growing so rapidly? Well, first and foremost, companies have to keep up with increasingly complex customer experience demands. Customers want to be able to reach you or your contact center whenever and however they want. In fact, it's so important that Gartner reports that roughly 89% of companies expect to compete mostly on the basis of customer experience in the coming years. And this is a stark contrast to just 4 years ago, when that number was just 36% were based on customer experience and customer quality. That's huge. So it's no longer enough to simply have a good product. You have to have an excellent customer support experience to back it up. So this is not only leading to an increased investment in people, process, and training, but also to overhaul outdated technology and IT resources that simply are inadequate to meet these coming challenges. Many contact centers continue to deploy legacy technology, and companies that don't update their technology are just going to fall behind. So all of these investments are aimed at one thing, which is improving the overall customer experience while scaling for the future. So how are you going to scale for the future? The answer is the cloud. I mean, everything's moving to the cloud. Gartner recently predicted that more than $1 trillion in IT spending will be shifted to the cloud during the next 5 years. And that cloud computing is one of the most disruptive forces in IT spending since the early days of the digital age. And I don't think there's any point in belaboring that. We all see what's happening with other technologies moving into the cloud. Again, legacy equipment and technology is no longer sufficient to address the myriad of customer service and support requirements that we're all going to be faced with in the future. So even though there's all these really cool technological advances and new customer touch points, still 80% of customers, people, prefer authentic human-to-human voice support. In fact, voice accounts for roughly 50% of all inbound support interactions. This presents a huge opportunity for innovation, optimization, cost savings, and improving customer experience, which is what we're going to discuss here. So today, what's going on right now? Right now, you probably are paying a flat per minute fee on incoming toll-free calls, regardless of where that caller is calling from. For enterprise-level companies, these costs can be staggering. I've seen, north of, a penny or 2 pennies, sometimes even more if, the contracts have been neglected and not renegotiated. A cut into that spend could be allocated towards better training technology, more people focused around customer experience. There's opportunities for improvement here. So furthermore, these flat rates, they have to be negotiated at regular intervals. You sign a contract, you've got the rate, the supplier's not going to come to you and say, hey, I've got this great new low rate, you want it. You're going to have to call them. It's a frustrating process that sometimes doesn't work out in your favor. Now, and lastly, even if you're working with a great tier 1 provider, that doesn't ensure that you're getting the best connections to the origination points where your customers are calling from. You know, this could result in static, drop calls, or even a full-scale carrier outage, which I have personally experienced in past lives, and anybody who's experienced an outage knows that this drastically affects your reputation, you know, customer retention experience, and with the internet and social media, it doesn't take long for your frustrated customers to let everybody know about it. Nobody ever raises their hand and says, hey, on Twitter, this company's doing a great job for me. It's usually when things go wrong. So luckily, you know, we've developed a better way, which brings us into the toll-free LCR solution. And to start and kick that off, I'm going to show you a quick video that kind of outlines the concept from a high level. Then we'll dig into a little bit more detail. So I'm going to start that video now.
If you deal with toll-free numbers, you know that every call costs something. But the costs aren't just from your carrier. Each carrier that touches the call increases your costs. With lots of callers, there are lots of carriers and a lot of costs. There are lower cost routes between you and each one of your callers, but you're locked into your carrier. Not with thinK's toll-free LCR. thinK intelligently finds the lowest cost, best quality network for every toll-free call. We continuously analyze all of your toll-free calls in real time, across every number and across every network. We also enable more controls to manage your traffic, turn on and off carriers, prioritize carrier networks according to region, state, or rate center, and control how numbers are associated through an easy-to-use interface. So get the lowest price and best quality for every single toll-free call with thinK today. thinK, the first toll-free LCR.
Okay, now that we've got kind of an idea of what the platform does, let's take a quick look and I'll show you how it works. So we discovered, and as with many things, the best way with pattern-based data to predict the future is to study the past. This is the basic principle behind our toll-free LCR. So before any optimization occurs on your behalf, our powerful LCR engine programmatically analyzes past traffic patterns and prioritizes the top NPA-NXX locations that are calling your toll-free number for a detailed pricing analysis. And it does this using machine learning algorithms that we've developed. So the net of the situation is every single customer's optimization or experience is going to be different and tailored based on their traffic patterns and their changing traffic patterns. So there's no need, it's not a static environment. So how does that work? Well, the engine analyzes and determines the most current carrier prices that we have within, you know, an NPA-NXX, and then it selects the optimal carrier for each one of those originating locations. So after the optimal carrier is selected, the system will automatically update Somos and route the calls over the incoming carrier network. So let's say it picks 919.890 for Verizon and ends up being the best one. Well, for that code, anybody calling from that area is going to come in over the Verizon trunk into thinK's platform and then get routed to your network. And this is iterated over and over for your top 30,000 destinations. So, as I mentioned, this process is repeated for the top 30,000 NPA-NXXs. If you receive a call outside of one of these optimized locations, for example, a less trafficked area, a rural area, or someplace that's never even called you before, a default routing bucket, what we call routing profiles, created. So it'll fall into that default carrier, and that's chosen by analyzing the remaining traffic as a whole and figuring out the best carrier for that pool of traffic. So these carrier selections are automatically re-optimized. So it's not just going to stay there. If you get a new endpoint that's calling you, yes, when they first call, it'll come in on the default carrier that's selected based on the remaining unoptimized 30,000 rows. However, it's not going to stay there because we we re-optimize every few days to account for changes in your calling volume. So this is how the system's adaptive. Every few days, it's simply doing another look back using the machine learning algorithm to figure out, okay, am I still optimal or not optimal? If not optimal, let's make some changes. And it does this without you having to do anything. So the location of your incoming calls is automatically detected, and because we have this adaptive process, it ensures that you're always getting the best price for your calls. You don't have to call and renegotiate. You don't have to, sit here and try to figure out how to do this yourself. This is not a static environment. The system is constantly learning and adapting to your changing traffic patterns. So now we talk about cost. That's a great component. I can't tell you how many customers I talk to of mine that say, Mike, that's great. You can save me costs, that's great, but not at the expense of my customer experience. I need to have an excellent customer experience. It's great. So that's the basis of having a multiple carrier solution, is because what I'm about to show you will show you how we control the quality and the experience of the customer. So multiple carrier solution gives you more than just a great rates. It also gives you DR, disaster recovery, in the event that there's a potentially embarrassing carrier outage. So in this example, you're going to see an illustration going on here. I'll talk over it. But with 5 Tier 1 vendors already in the platform at your disposal, you don't have to sign any contracts with them. It's all done. Our system allows you to update your routing profiles in real time to mitigate downtime due to carrier outages. So these could be regional or they could be global, network-wide. And this can be done by either A, removing the entire carrier from your routing profile, what I call it kind of just wholesale removal, or by eliminating them from specific NPA and XX codes. So once either A, the vendor's been removed, or B, you've carved out a couple of NPA and XX codes or regions that they just you're not happy with, the system automatically recalculates and figures out the next, it's like, hey, who's on deck? Give me the next best one in line to help to program and terminate these calls for our customers. So it will only route the calls over the active carrier routes that you've selected. So as I've been talking, this thing in the background is saying, okay, look, AT&T had a problem in California, took them out. Verizon was the next best one. Boom, it popped in Verizon for California. Same thing happens in the Southeast. Verizon had an issue in this example. Okay, AT&T was the next best in line. You pop them out, and the system reoptimizes. So having disaster recovery solution is crucial if you want to maximize your uptime and keep your customers happy. Just recently, one of our clients, which is a 24/7 live answering service, experienced 2 major carrier outages, which would have, and I'm using their quote here, left them completely dead in the water. Fortunately, they were able to easily update the routing profiles to remove the offending carriers within thinQ's platform, and we're back up and running in a matter of minutes. So now that I've kind of given you an overview of the process of disaster recovery, let's take a look at how easy it is to execute within the platform. So I'm going to show a demonstration here. I'll narrate over and kind of give you some background of what's going on. And this will kind of give you a visual representation of what the platform looks like, tools, the power, the control that you have. So in this demonstration, what we're going to do is we're looking at the main dashboard. So this is our toll-free LCR dashboard. You can see that it's going to have some business analytics data that shows you traffic, spend, duration of a period of time, as well as a couple of other metrics that I want to touch on. So in this example, and this is a demo account, so our standard flat rate is 1.4 cents. This demo account has a few calls on it, so it's saving about 27% more or better than what our flat rate is. And our customers in production see a heck of a lot greater savings than that. We also have some visualization tools that show heat maps of where calls are coming from, which is extremely powerful because you can see your traffic changing over time, and you'll see the system respond to it over time. So everything at the system is driven by what we call a routing profile. And you can think of this as a configuration container that you throw numbers in. So I've got a few profiles set up here. I'm going to create a new one, and we're going to call it my test. I'm going to just go ahead and turn on all 5 vendors. It's the AT&T, CenturyLink, Level 3, Verizon, and Telequent. We'll say, okay, we want to allow calls from US and Canada in this profile for toll-free. Save it. All right, there's Mike Test. You can see all 5. However, I don't have any numbers in here, so it's not going to do anything. So in order to do that, I go in here. I've got my demo number. It's on a test profile. I'm going to change that over to the new profile I just created. So now we can see Mike Test has 1 number. If we go into our log section, you'll see there's a pending action where I moved the number to this profile. However, it's pending. It's going to take a few minutes for Somos to accept those changes and confirm back to us that those changes are then live, and that'll turn to a green check mark. Talked about disaster recovery. Let's say, I've got a problem with Verizon again. I don't know why I keep picking on them, but they're great. We're going to block Verizon from 919-890, which is our NPNXX here. So I think this is going to be a short-term problem, so I'm going to set an expiration date for this block. I'm not going to let it sit here forever. You know, I'm going to say take it out in a week. Oh, not AT&T. AT&T off. Verizon. And we're going to say 919-890. So once I click save, the engine's going to say, okay, you don't want Verizon taking these calls. I got to figure out who the next best one is and basically eliminate them from that part of your profile. Well, let's say it's a more kind of broad sweeping issue. You say, you know, it's not just this one area, and I don't really want to sit here and figure it out right now. I'm going to turn them off. So you come in here, turn them off, click save, and the system again will detect this change, automatically re-optimizing. We can see right now it's got 4 vendors in the profile. Our changes are now pending. Once that goes green, we've confirmed with Somos everything's good, and everything's been re-optimized based on eliminating Verizon. So now your customers are back up and running. You didn't have to spend hours waiting for somebody to do something. You didn't spend days with an outage. You're back up and running. So that handles carrier disaster recovery. Well, what happens if something happens to your network or your systems? Well, we have inbound routing profiles that you assign to your toll-free traffic or your numbers. I'll create one here called Mike Inbound Primary. We allow you to define up to 3 incoming endpoints that we will attempt to send to you. So we've handled the vendor side. Now this is, okay, great. What happens if your SBC goes down or your IVR, PBX, whatever you're using, and something happens, right? So you can define up to 3. I'll create an IP address. We'll do a DNS record, which also allows you to control some level of disaster recovery with your own DNS. And let's just say, hey, I want to send it straight out native SIP to a SIP URI. I'm going to send it to, you know, a SIP URI here on one of our systems. Let's put in the main number. So default's what, 5060. We'll throw that on here. And then click save. So once I've saved that, I can assign this to any one of my toll-free numbers or any number in the system. I can rearrange priorities. So let's say, okay, I don't like this one anymore. I want to use my A record first. So I'll move that guy up, and then I'll move the SIP URI to position number 2. I've got a business process change. I just need to make a change. Once I click save, that's instantaneous. Your calls now follow that inbound routing profile. So in order to actually make that work, all I did here was create it. You know, we can verify this is the toll-free number. This is my profile for toll-free LCR. Now I need to assign this number to the inbound routing profile. And we've got it on one called Do Not Touch, but I'm not much of a rule follower around here, so I'm just going to go change it. And I'm going to change it to Mike Inbound Primary. Once I click save, that toll-free number is going to be routed and have inbound disaster recovery and failover for your side of the network as well as the carrier side of the network. So it's both sides coming in. So that's the kind of a high-level overview of the basic operation and function of how the system works, how easy it is to use. There's not a lot of decisions here. You don't have to click 1,000 different buttons. You simply pick the vendors you want to use. The system figures it out for you. You have a problem, take them out for a specific area. And then again, with inbound routing and disaster recovery failover, if your system goes down, our system's automatically going to detect it and then follow that prioritized route set that you just saw me create. So now that you've seen the platform, let's reiterate the advantages. First, you get instant access to multiple Tier 1 carriers without having to manage that process yourself. This automatically gives you better call quality, control, and customization. On top of that, our toll-free LCR technology is constantly analyzing and optimizing your calling volumes, which reduces your costs by potentially up to 50%. So you've got the quality component, then you've got the cost-saving component. Having multiple carrier solutions gives you the DR, which I just showed you. In the event that there's an outage, you don't sit there waiting. You can take affirmative action and get something done. In the event of something happening on your network, if you're using one of our routing profiles, it's automatically going to fail over for you without you having to do anything. All of this is managed with an extremely intuitive cloud-based platform. And finally, we've been talking a lot about customer experience, which is paramount to our business and our existence. Our technology is backed by an amazing live support team. And they make the integration, porting, configuration, anything that you need an absolute breeze. And if you ever run into any technical difficulties, they'll help you quickly identify and resolve them. So, if you're ready to improve your toll-free performance, your customer experience, your contact center performance, there's several ways you can get started. We can schedule a live one-on-one custom demo if you have more advanced kind of deep dive questions and details that you'd like to cover. Or we could set you up with a free trial account. You might not be the person that directly is responsible for these systems. However, you own the contact center piece and you deal with the problems when there's an outage. Well, we can set your counterparts up, whoever controls, hey, this toll-free number goes to this IVR, or this is the IVR tree. We can set up a free account for those folks to get in here and really kick the tires and figure out if it's going to help your organization. So we can also have you set up and talk to a product specialist right away. So just give us a call or an email. And lastly, I'd encourage you to follow us on social media so you can stay up to date on our upcoming product releases. We just had a few recently last week relative to SMS. And we've got a lot of really exciting things that we're planning here in the future. So we'd love it if you'd keep up with us, drop us a line, let us know what you think. And we always love hearing from customers and potential customers because we're constantly taking feedback and integrating them into our products and services. So with that, I will turn over to a QA session, so we'll answer some questions. I'm going to take this off full screen so I can see the questions coming in, and we'll try to see if we can get some of your questions answered.
Sounds great, Michael, and we are ready to go to questions. A couple have come in, and just as a reminder, all those questions, put them in Q&A over in the lower right-hand side. So your solution, Michael, is it North American? Is it international? What's the scope?
Sure. So the scope for this is North American dialing plan. So that would be U.S., Canada, Caribbean islands from an inbound routing perspective. Okay.
Is there any automatic removal on inbound DR?
Automatic removal on inbound DR. I'm assuming the question is it automatically going to remove a vendor from one of your profiles?
Yes.
If that's the question, the answer is no. There's an affirmative action that has to happen in terms of a customer making a decision to turn off a vendor. The reason this is important, number one, you're going to start getting trouble tickets before, we detect an inbound issue because they're your customers. Number two, the pricing base is variable. So a customer is actively making a decision saying, I know that I'm changing my pricing because we're moving from a flat rate environment to a variable rate environment based on calling destination. So each one of the networks that we give you, so AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, Level 3, and Telequint, are going to have a rate sheet. And as part of the contract, it says, hey, look, I have to let my customer make the decision to change their pricing.
Okay, good. Let's see. If most of our calls originate within a single state where we're located, do you find it's still there's still significant cost savings? Or, you know, Michael, maybe it's worthwhile to have a little larger conversation around that, because we're looking at one state, maybe we're looking at what's the minimum. So what are we really looking at? Where does it make sense?
Yeah, so anyone with any kind of sizable call volume is going to see immediate benefit from this regardless of state, because the pricing's all MPA and XX based, and you've got different MPA and XX codes, and you think about how many little pockets there are in every state. You know, like, I don't know, I'll pick on South Carolina. You got AT&T in a certain part of the state. You've got Harvey Telephone Company down near Charleston. You know, you've got Comporium up near Rock Hill, Charlotte area. There's different pockets of incumbents and Arbox and others that own footprint, and the pricing is variable based on where your callers are calling from, even within that state. So yes, even if your calling volume is kind of centralized, you still see benefit from this.
And what about if most of the numbers are local to where they're calling?
You know, again, it kind of falls into that same response. I mean, local can mean different things. You know, here in Raleigh, Durham's local for me, but I've got AT&T here in Raleigh, and in Durham, it's you know, they've got a pocket of Verizon, and then they've got a pocket of Frontier. So it really, again, the concept of local, yes, it's local to you, but the costing, you know, you're the owner of the toll-free number. That means you're picking up the tab, and the rate's based on where that caller is calling from.
And what about if you have a virtual call center?
So a virtual call center, I'm assuming that means that we've got a bunch of remote agents working from home,
Correct.
And we're using something like Twilio to build an IVR, and it goes into Twilio, and then it goes out. Yeah, I mean, it works great for it. It doesn't matter how disparate the call center is, what the behind-the-scenes makeup of your call center is, where you put your agents, whether they're virtual, whether they're sitting at desk, does not matter. This is 100% driven based on who's calling you. So send them, you know, distribute them throughout the world. And by the way, if they are distributed globally, I could follow up with another demonstration if the person who asked that question would like to. We've got a feature I did not demonstrate called Follow the Sun. So I showed you the inbound routing profile where I created 3 destinations on your network that says, okay, try number 1. If that doesn't respond, sends me a 503, is dead in the water, go to number 2, go to number 3. You can actually take and create multiple profiles like the one I just described and assign it to what we call a Follow the Sun profile that lets you define time slots throughout the day that says, okay, from 8 to 6, use calling profile number 1. From 6:01 to 7:59, use this other one. Maybe it's going North America during the day. Maybe it's East Coast. Maybe it goes California. Maybe it goes Asia Pac and then Europe. The system will automatically manage that based on your Follow the Sun. So if you've truly got a distributed virtual call center, this is an extremely powerful and adaptive solution to help you manage your call flow.
Do you replace dual reporg?
RESPORG?
Probably a typo. Yep.
Yeah, that's nice. So dual RESPORG. So presently, the system requires thinQ to be the RESPORG in order for us to update Somos. We are developing a bring your own RESPORG effectively that will be coming very soon. So at present, thinQ would be the RESPORG. Moving forward, we're going to have a configuration that lets you authorize us on your RESPORG's behalf to make changes. It's a complex process. We knew this was going to be something that customers would be interested in, and are developing against that right now.
Okay, I am now going to ask a question, Michael, that is way beyond the scope of what I understand, so I'm basically just going to read it to you. If we own a group of TFNs with VZB as the rest borg using a PRI to our PBX, how would we use thinQ?
All right, so I'm reading this. So group toll-free numbers with Verizon Business as the rest borg using a PRI to our own PBX. How would we use thinQ? Okay, so depending on the capabilities of the PBX, if it's SIP enabled, you can keep the PRI for your existing traffic. We would port the toll-free number to thinQ, and then using a SIP interconnect directly to your PBX, we would send the toll-free traffic to you. Now, if it's a legacy PBX that doesn't support SIP, that's fine too. You know, what I've done in the past is use an ADTRAN IAD, which basically takes SIP in and creates a PRI and plugs right into your PBX, and that's another way to handle that. A less desirable way, because there's a little bit more cost involved, is we can take the number on net and then terminate it to the PSTN, which would then come in over your PRI. However, there would be a PSTN term charge that may or may not work with the economics of the model, but it's something certainly we can do, PSTN failover. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, well, thank you. What about, do you support custom routing by time of day?
Excellent question. Yes, that was the point I touched on a few questions back when I was talking about our follow the sun routing profile, and I'd love to give a demonstration for whoever asked that question if they would love to follow up. I can have one of our product specialists go through that with you, but yes, you can create follow the sun or time-based routing and assign different profiles to it, and it'll automatically execute.
And who typically manages the relationship with thinQ? What's the kind of person? Give me a profile.
Yeah, so I get this question all the time, and it really depends on the operational structure of the company in question, right? I've seen it be the call center manager. You know, this person says, okay, these are my numbers. I want them going to this IVR tree or that platform, and I want to be in control. Great. That's the person. I've seen other organizations where it's managed through an IT infrastructure, right? It could be, you know, the person managing the PBX itself, the SBC. In some cases, it could be a software developer. If they're, you know, you've built a cloud-based IVR using Twilio or Plevo or one of the others, it could be them. So it really depends on the organizational kind of infrastructure of how people have set their companies up operationally. But I see a lot of variety.
Okay. Let's see. Are you a validated SIP provider for Genesis Pure Connect? Do you know?
We are not validated in the sense that they're a, you know, they've stamped it. We've got a product dev team that's working on that. They're a huge player in the space, very aware of them, and we are working on a number of kind of official integrations. But we are 100% RFC 3261 certified. We work with any SIP platform, device, service provider, et cetera.
Yeah, probably the best thing for these kind of questions is to contact you directly and work through some of those.
And that's
specific issues.
Yeah, and all of this stuff will get flushed out during the interoperability process. Like I mentioned, we're 100% US-based staff. We have live support. We've got a great team of engineers, great team of customer service people that will work through an interoperability test before anything goes live. I mean, we'll set up, you know, what we typically do is we'll set up a couple of test numbers for a customer to play with, so they're not, you know, impacting live production data. They'll get all the configuration nuances worked out. Once they've, you know, they're satisfied, then we'll begin the porting process if they need to move numbers, or they can simply provision new numbers on our network.
And what's the typical thing that somebody can learn from that free trial?
Well, they're gonna see that what we're telling you is true first. You know, you sit on these webinars like, oh yeah, that's great, nice claim, nice claim. Proof's in the pudding. That's why we have no long-term contract. We have no minimum commit. We have no, you're not locked in. The reason we do that is because we believe in our products. And we know that once our customers try them, they're not going to leave because it's a great product. And for whatever reason you're not happy, we're not going to hold them into a long-term contract. That's not our belief system. That's not our philosophy. We believe in performance, and we strive every single day to do, an excellent job for our customers. So I hope that answers that question. One thing I did want to mention, a week or so ago, we did a press release, and in the next few weeks we will have SMS-enabled toll-free numbers. So you'll be able to bring your numbers onto our network, activate them for SMS, MMS if you've got that requirement, and integrate those into your contact center applications as well. Maybe you want to have a text-based support system that pops into whatever your OSS, BSS is and does a screen pop on your agent's screen. That'll enable you to be able to do that.
Okay, good. And as your philosophy, there is a better way. So what is the final thoughts that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I hope that, we've done a good job in terms of reading the market and understanding what the challenges are around contact center performance and customer experience. We're passionate about customer experience at thinQ, and we believe that shows through into our products and our service and support. So, we'd love the opportunity to prove it to you. We'd love the opportunity to have a more in-depth discussion, and we'd love to hear from you. We love hearing from our customers.
Thank you. And the quickest way is either to call or to sign up for the demo. That's the quickest thing to do. Am I correct?
Yeah, you can go online. There's a sign-up link there. You can call 1-877-5060-SIP or send an email in or hit us on social media. We're very connected.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you to thinQ for bringing this toll-free solution where you can save money to the CRM Exchange audience. So thank you, Michael. And, of course, thank you to everyone that has spent their last, 45 minutes or so with us today. And the recording will be available in about 24 hours. We will send you that link, and you'll also have the PDF of the slide deck. So thank you all for attending. And at this point, we will be closing this webcast. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.